You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K24. Go get your copy of NBA 2K24 from the link in the description. Myself, Mo C, BJ Armstrong as well. BJ, why are you laughing?
Well, at some point, the people are going to see what I see with your outfit. I mean,
it's cold. It's cold. It's a cold world. You got to bundle up.
It's a cold world. Okay. Shout out to J. Cole. Shout out to J. Cole.
Just trying to make it in this cold world. You know what I'm saying?
And Mo has a robe on.
Come on, man. It's my trademark. I might say, forget the merch. We're not doing hoodies and t-shirts. We're doing robes. I might just do that. I might just do robes that say, you know the vibes. Ladies come to the crib, you're in your robe. It says you know the vibes. They know the vibes. Anyway, BJ, you're in a much better mood than I thought you'd be in.
How come? How come?
Your Detroit Pistons.
Oh yeah. Look at that. Look at that, Mo. Look what I'm wearing today.
I see it. 14 straight losses. They lost the tankathon battle with the Washington Wizards.
Is that a new tournament? Is that a new in-season tournament?
No, I've just made it up.
Oh, okay.
It's the two worst teams in the world playing each other. And you guys lost. How are you feeling? How are you still so happy?
Well, you know, there are ebbs and flows to everything. And right now,
they've won like 4 games since the trade deadline last season. Maybe they won 7.
And you know, Mo, I'm from Detroit. Don't hold it against me. This is what we do. Okay.
This is what you do.
This is what we do. Like, this is what we do. I'm so excited on one hand that our Detroit Lions have a winning record at this stage of the season.
They're above 500.
Yes.
How many games above 500?
I think they are 8-3, maybe.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, 8-3. I think
because if you came and said they were 8-7, I would have just laughed.
No, they're like 8-3. We are currently now in first place.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't complain. And right now we've hit a tough stretch here in Detroit as far as basketball, and we have a very rich tradition. And growing up there, I mean, everyone's a Pistons fan, right? I'm just a Detroit fan across the board. That's just what it is. So the one thing that we do there is people outside of Detroit are not allowed to talk about our Detroit Pistons, our Detroit Red Wings, our Detroit Tigers, our
Detroit City
Lions.
FC.
Yes, no one can talk. If you're outside of Detroit, you are not allowed to talk about Detroit. However, Mo, today I will be representing my Pistons all day, just like I've represented my Lions my entire life. And we're going to stand with our people. Now, I can't let you talk about the Detroit Pistons or anyone, but unless you are a Detroit Pistons fan, and you're not a Detroit Pistons fan. So
despite you trying to convert me for many years now, I will not be a fan of the Pistons. I like some of their players, but I'm not a fan of the Pistons.
Everyone doesn't understand our language. That's why we say, what up, dope? We understand who is who. So we will handle our Detroit Pistons. We will handle it. This is an internal problem that we will handle.
The whole city is just meeting together in the town hall.
Yes. That's what we do. That's
why Killian Hayes is still getting minutes.
Hey, we will discuss that. We will internally handle that, the city of Detroit. And then, Mo, we will rise again. You know, we will rise again. Real name, no gimmicks. So, yes, we did lose. We will own it. However, we're the only people that can talk about it. And all Detroit fans understand that. They know that. And when we see each other, we got the secret shake. When we see each other, we know what it is. And it really doesn't matter what anyone else says. So,
okay.
But we'll take care of this.
Talk to me about your Pistons, though. What needs to change to end this losing streak?
To end this losing streak, they just need to get a win to end this losing streak.
well, seeing as they couldn't get a win against the Wizards, who are they going to get a win against?
Here's the thing. Listen, this is the NBA. And every game is a new opportunity, is a new chance to get a win and play and move on in this league. I think our next game, Mo, is against the LA Lakers, I believe. Mm-hmm. Which the Lakers are coming off a really bad win. I mean, they lost by 40 points last night. Okay. So right now, Mo, when you have a young team, you go through this thing when you first get to the NBA, especially with a young group, is, Mo, you kind of say things because you're sharing your experience and you're sharing things that you've learned in this league. It's really, really hard and it's really difficult to win in this league. It's really hard to do. When you're young and you're talented, you just don't understand it because, you've always been the best player, whether it's college or high school or what have you. Once you get to the NBA, Mo, one of the first things you learn is that there's a level of toughness that you have to have. Clearly, talent is why you're there. But Mo, you got to learn how to fight. You got to learn how to fight. And right now, this team is learning that no one's going to come and help them. Yeah, you might have been the best player on your team. You might have been a lottery pick. Some of you guys might have been the number one pick. But Mo, no one cares. And right now, this team has to make a decision. Last night, I was watching the game. As you know, Mo, I watch almost every Detroit Piston game from start to finish because I'm a real I'm a real Piston fan. Last night was one of the first times I've seen them this year where I said, okay, they're going to make a decision. I would probably, if I was like a person who said, when do you think they're going to get their next win? I'm going to say probably tomorrow night.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to say that is because their coach, Monty Williams, knows how hard it is. Coach Williams knows that it's difficult. And at some point here, it's not even about the result of the game, meaning, yeah, we all want to win. It's the fight that you bring to the game. It's the fight that you bring. It's one thing about Detroit that any player or any person who's grown up in Detroit, that's one thing it's like, it's in your DNA. You're from Detroit. You know how to fight. That's the one thing you're going to do. Like, you may not be the best at whatever, but you're going to know how to fight. There's a level of toughness that it's ingrained in you. The next game, I expect their coach, I expect the players to fight, because last night was finally the first time I felt that they probably understood, like, we got to fight. It's not about talent. They have talent. It's about bringing that fight to the game. And I think that's where they can make their next step. And I would venture to say probably in the next couple of games, they'll get a win. Because they're going to bring the fight to the
It's
game.
about fight. They've got talent, but you always talk about roster construction. Now, I know they've had some injuries. Alec Burks missed time. Is still waiting for Bogdanovic. But this team, you essentially have Cade Cunningham surrounded by guys that can't shoot the three ball very well. And as a result, Cade, in the 17 games he's played, is yet to shoot over 50% from the field. There's not a lot of space for him to operate. I mean, Isaiah Stewart's letting it fly, but on nights where it's not hitting, like last night against the Washington Wizards, 1 from 7, there's just not a lot of space for Cade to play his game. And at some point, you have to wonder, why is this roster constructed in this way? And I'm not saying that they should play like the Warriors and shoot a ton of threes.
Right.
But I'm just saying, have some shooting threats to create some space on the court for Cade and Durant to operate on the inside.
Okay. As they are playing right now, right? Every coach, you got to respect how the coach, what's his vision for this group? Okay. What's his vision? And every coach has a different vision. It doesn't mean that it's right. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. Every coach has a different vision of how they should play. Clearly, Coach Monty Williams has a vision for this group. Okay, clearly. And the vision thus far has been with Cade as the lead guard, right? They've started Cade thus far in this early part of the season as the lead guard. And then they had Killian Hayes, and now Killian Hayes is out of the lineup, and now they put in Jaden Ivey. Now, Mo, I just try to stay consistent in what I know works in this league. I try to stay consistent. Why? Because there is a consistency in how you play. You may want to play a certain way. However, when you look at your roster, you have to play to your strengths. That's called the identity of your team. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not second guessing anybody because I'm rolling with my Pistons. However, when I look at the
loyalty,
roster,
you got to love it.
No, it's not blind loyalty. It's just that my Pistons. Now, I can disagree with philosophies. However, these are my Pistons. So I'm going to own it, and it is what it is. Now, Mo has heard me for years say this. Every team must play downhill. Mo, have I said that? Yeah. Am I consistent with saying that?
BJ will ring me at 3 a.m. to tell me that. Not just on the podcast.
Okay. So, Mo, when I look at this, when I look at Cade is a really, really, really good player. But you can't convince me that he's an elite downhill player at the speed. If this league is about pace and space and the way he plays, are you telling me that he is an elite player like De'Aaron Fox or John Morant, Kyrie Irving, and all of these guys who play downhill? The answer is Shea Alexander, Jamal Murray. Is he in that category? It's playing downhill. Jalen Brunson.
I don't think he's in the category with those guys, but he can be.
Okay. Is he playing at that pace? The answer is no. The answer is no. Is he playing like Trae Young?
It's hard to get downhill when the defense isn't spread out.
Okay. Again, I'm not blaming anybody. Before I can get to everybody else, first I gotta take responsibility. What's my strength? That's not his strength of his game. His strength is he has size at that position. That's his strength. He's 6'7". Now, should he be able to post up those little guards? Okay. Should he be able to take advantage of his height and pass over the defense? Okay. This isn't a knock. This is just saying this is what it is. Like, yeah, I want De'Aaron Fox too. I want De'Aaron Fox, but that's not his game. Like,
okay, but those examples you just gave, posting up the smaller defenders, it's hard to post up when there's no space on the inside. Passing over the smaller defenders, it's hard to pass the guys if they're not a threat to score from the outside. So it goes back to the question of when are they going to make changes to this roster in order to maximize his talents and maximize his game?
Now, most people will try to address the offensive end. But Mo, you know me. What do I like to address first?
Defense.
Okay,
defense.
Now, okay, Mo. I'm not mad at everyone wants to address their offensive issues. I'm not mad at that. If that's your way of seeing the game, hey, go for it. However, there's one thing that I know works first and foremost. If I can address my defense, like we just talked about the Orlando Magic yesterday, then, Mo, I'm in business. Once I can address and become predictable and I can have some sustainability with that part of my game, then I can address everyone else. Because let me give you the mindset. The mindset of a winning organization is if I don't score, Mo, and you don't score, Mo, the score is still 0-0. If the game is always determined by how well I shoot from the three, it's possible, Mo, that I may lose.
How can they fix their defense? Because the rotations aren't happening, that they're not looking like a good defensive team.
This is excellent. This is an excellent question. Okay. I happen to believe that Jaden Ivey is an elite athlete at his position.
Yes.
Okay. So defense to me is nothing but effort and energy. Well, he is somewhere in that category with speed and quickness with every other guard in the league. So defensively, there's no reason for him not to be an average defender on his worst day. That's just what I see. That's what I believe. Okay. This kid, Osur Thompson looks like he's an all NBA defensive player at some stage in his career.
Yep.
Okay.
There's no doubt.
Okay. So I know I have two players that athletically can defend at a very elite level on the perimeter. How many people can actually say that in the NBA? I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying they have the potential to be. This kid or Sir Thompson is averaging what, 2 or 3 blocks a game as a guard in this league?
Crazy numbers and on the boards as well.
Here we are, 15 or 20 games into the season, and he's already taken the best offensive player on the other team as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
That says everything I need to see. Okay.
Yeah. And until the other team puts the best offensive player in a pick and roll where the Pistons don't communicate, and then 3 seconds into the possession, the other team's in the paint.
Okay. That's another question. Here's what I see. Jalen Duren. I don't know how many guys are stronger than Jalen Duren in the NBA at 19 or 20 years
He's not
of
even
age.
fully grown yet.
And he's not. So I'm not worried about the physicality of this game with this kid. I'm not. Like, we may have other problems in Detroit. Shooting may be one of them and all the things. But I'm not worried about someone saying, you're going to just push us around on the interior.
Okay, you've got the pieces, right? So you've got these guys who are good athletes and should be good defenders. So, but as a team, how do they fix the defense?
Okay.
Because there's no way you can watch this team and be like, they're a good defensive team.
Here's what I see, Mo. Here's what I see. You're asking me now. I'm not the one that's displaying the vision. Okay. And I'm not mad at it because clearly they know more than me. However, I'm allowed to have my views. And my view is I'm going to always address my defense first, second, and third. So I'm not worried about that. Now, what I love about this team is they are a big team where most teams now are small. Small ball is what everyone's doing. Everyone wants to shoot, play screen roll, interchangeable parts, so forth and so on. However, I will stick to my initial. I love the Rudy Gobert trade when everyone else was like, oh, this is an awful trade. Here we are a year later. They're in first place. Playing with not 1 7-footer, 2 7-footers. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's a fact, Mo. Okay? I am a firm believer, and I said this years ago, the bigs will be the last position that will understand and integrate into this new small ball era. Now, Jokic has figured it out. Embiid has figured it out. Giannis has figured it out. Now you see the bigs of Minnesota figuring it out. And you're beginning to see the bigs, Chet Holmgren now, 7-footer, figured it out. Wemby figured it out. The bigs are going to be the last position to figure out this new small ball era. I said this years ago, but I'm going to stick to what I believe. If I can't defend on the perimeter, which is a problem. Why? Because the offensive player, based on the rules, you can't impede their progress. There's no physicality anymore for someone like Mo to guard a player who's maybe a little quicker than Mo, because Mo at one point, he could use his hands, impede the progress.
Oh, I still do that. This is why I don't play NBA.
However, now you can't do that. Okay. But you can't tell me now that there is a thing called rim protection, Mo, that's a premium in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I can't defend on the perimeter, like you said, Mo, let's pretend that I said, okay, I can't defend on the perimeter. Well, Mo, I have youth on my side. There's one thing, Mo, that I know a veteran player doesn't want to do. A veteran player does not want to play 94 feet. A veteran player does not want to be picked up full court. And as a veteran player, Mo, you don't want to expend that type of energy, especially on a back-to-back game. Well, if I remember correctly, the youngest team in the league is who, Mo?
The Pistons.
Okay, so here we are with a young team, and we have a minimum of 3 guys, Cade being 4, who can defend his position. I'm not saying they're great defenders, any of them, but is at least I know I can match up with the speed of any guard in the league with Ivy, the size of any guard in the league with Cade, the strength of any big in the league with Durant, and the athleticism of Thompson. I can match up. I'm not saying
you can match up, but they are the worst in the league at opponent points off turnovers, right? So even if you're trying to get matched up, that's hard to do when you're turning the ball over and teams are getting away in transition.
That's 8, 9, 10. You're talking 8, 9, 10. First, I got to match up on the defensive end because the mindset has to be, I got to stop you. So let's get this in place first. Then, Mo, I know I have bigs who can block a shot. I have Wiseman. I have Bagley. I have Isaiah Stewart.
Man. Like, this is just theory now, though. Like, you really looking at James Wiseman and Bagley as defenders in the NBA who are blocking shots. The Detroit Pistons right now, when it comes to opponents' points in the paint, they're bottom 10 in the league. They're just giving up. What are they giving up right now? They're giving up over 52 points a game in the painted area. It's insane right now.
Well, again, you have to commit. Just like, let's take the 28th or 29th defensive team right now, the Milwaukee Bucks. So are you telling me that Giannis and Brook Lopez can't block shots? It's all about getting familiar with your team and figuring out. That's why we have to utilize the regular season to prepare for us if we're going to advance in the postseason. That's why we play these games. That's why it's important, in my opinion, to have an extended training camp more than just 1 week. You're trying to figure out what your team can and can't do before the games really start. So in this instance, Mo, Coach Williams is trying to figure out what his team can and can't do. And that's fair. And I guarantee you, because he is an excellent coach. He's not a good coach. He's an excellent coach. They're going to play a better brand of basketball because he's trying to figure out his team. He's trying to figure all of this out right now. Defensively, they will get better because at some point, you got to figure out what your team can and can't do. They should be a big team, in my opinion. Why? Because that's the strength of their team. If you said right now, let's take two teams with a similar age, the Orlando Magic and them. The identity of the Orlando Magic is kind of clear right now. Defensively, they've committed to that. Now let's talk about their shooting and all the other stuff. Okay. However, right now, the identity of the Detroit Pistons is what? Okay. So right now, the Pistons are in the process of trying to figure out. In the next month or so, would hope that the Pistons begin to figure out, let's play to our strengths. Let's play to our strengths. So you say, okay, we can't shoot. All right, we can't shoot. Well, there's other things we can do. And this is what takes time for young teams to figure out. You're going to have to, Cade is a phenomenal player. However, we're going to have to figure out how to play with Cade with the ball not in his hand. Why? Because very rarely, Mo, are you going to be able to beat 5 defensive players? Okay. Because clearly the other teams are ganging up on him now. So that means we're going to have to figure out how to feature other players, whether we begin to post up players, whether we begin to screen roll, whether we begin, whatever it is we need to do. But these young guys are going to have to figure this out. Maybe, Mo, we will become an offensive rebounding team. Okay. If we're not shooting well, which is okay, then Mo, we should be able to offensive rebound because we're missing more shots than the other team. Offensive rebounding is part of your offense, right? You want to design an offense where you allow your offensive rebounders to be in position to rebound because we're not shooting at a high percentage right now.
No, they are 5th in the NBA right now in terms of offensive rebounding. But a lot of that is just because they have more opportunities to get them.
Whatever the case may be, you have to emphasize what you do well, and then you try to cover up what you don't do well, so you can gives yourself an opportunity to win the game. So in all of these things, it's going to take time, especially with this young group. I expect them to get better. I expect them to put up a bigger fight. And that's basically the hardest thing to learn, I think, for a young team, for young players, because it's not like they have veteran players. Their veteran leaders right now are out. Like Burks has kind of been in and out of the lineup. Bogdanovich has been, I don't think he's played a game all year. Not that we think that those guys are,
He's the savior.
yeah. We're not putting it. However, their presence will be an added. Their presence will be,
and the shooting.
Yeah.
So you're saying their first win will come against the Lakers. The Lakers played.
No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't.
No,
say
you
that.
think that it could.
What be. When you see teams play, you begin to pick up trends, and the trend is, I think they will put up a bigger fight than they did in the previous game. I think soon they will get a win based on what I saw and how they responded in the last game. And the reason I'm saying that is because Coach Monty Williams now has to make it. He has to determine who are the guys who will provide the most resistance moving forward. Winning is a habit, losing becomes a habit. And what you are in danger of doing with young players is you have to have your players provide resistance to losing. So I expect him to shorten up the lineup. I expect him to extend the players that will give him the best chance to win. But more importantly, I think the players will start looking at themselves with the pride that's necessary to play and perform at the game. The next game, I expect them to put up a bigger fight. Now, does that mean they're going to win? I can't say. However, I don't expect them to get blown out in their next game because I expect them to come out with some type of energy here in the next couple of weeks that will give them, hopefully, the spark to say they turned it around. Just like your Celtics did like 2 or 3 years ago. Not that they're going to get to the NBA Finals or anything like that. However,
I was going to say.
No, but it's all a process. Like, we all just want to be at the finals. No, like this is what happens when you have a young team.
Okay,
this is what happens.
We'll see. You think they won't get blown out, but the Lakers did get blown out by the Sixers through just 3 quarters. Joel Embiid put up 30 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, a steal, and a block. He absolutely destroyed the LA Lakers. Anthony Davis is now 3 of 13 against Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis over the last 3 seasons. That's 2 and 7 against Jokic. That's 1 and 3 against Giannis, and that's 0 and 3 against Embiid. Why does everyone talk about Anthony Davis like he's in the same caliber as those guys? They always say when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's a top 10 player. I've heard you say that because he's healthy and he's not.
Well, here is what, in my view, when I watch Anthony Davis, I'm watching a player who plays out of position every night and still really, really good. He's not a center. No, they can play him at the center. Okay, so Giannis and who else? Who else you can't even argue with? Okay, Giannis. All right, if you say Giannis is better, okay, I think most of us would probably
Embiid
say
and Jokic.
Okay,
this is the top creme de la creme we're talking about.
Okay,
they want to include Anthony Davis in those conversations.
What I said was you missed what I said. Anthony Davis is playing out of position.
Yes.
If you put him at the power forward position, who can you just say outright is better than him at the power forward?
As a power forward. Well, we've not seen Anthony Davis play power forward since 2020. But
what we know is he's playing out of position since that time. He's been playing out of position for years. The last time he played the power forward position, at least by my account, but hey, I'm getting older, so I get it. I don't see as well as I did. When he played the power forward position in that bubble thing, they won the championship.
They did win the Disneyland championship.
And then they suddenly went to this new era where they had Marc Gasol. They brought Marc Gasol, and they figured out Marc Gasol couldn't complement Anthony Davis. They just moved him there permanently. And he's been there ever since.
And he bought into it.
He bought into it. But in my opinion, if Anthony Davis could play his true natural position, Anthony Davis, he's an elite player at the center position. Okay, he's top All right, he's top 5 or top 7 at the position. Which, if you said you got a top 5 center in today's game, hey, I'll take it. All right, he's not Jokic, he's not Embiid. All right, okay, he's not that. But you can't tell me there are like 4 or 5 other guys that are just like that much better than him. And he's capable of having big games against those guys.
Yeah, so this is what I wanted to figure out here. He has some really big games, and then he has some not so big games. And it seems to literally, we saw this in the playoffs last year, and we spoke about it, and it's continued this season. For example, he had 17 points in 32 minutes against the Sixers, but the night before against the Cavs, where they have 2 7-footers on the team, he finished with 32 points at 13 boards. The night before against Dallas, 10 points. The night before that, 26 points. So he's very up and down, up and down, up and down. Why is he so inconsistent with the stat lines that he puts up?
Well, I don't think he's inconsistent. I think what he has, when I say inconsistent, Anthony Davis is not a center. He's just not a center. Okay. And what do I mean by that? There are people, Mo, if you've heard me say this, there are people who are really tall, and then there are people who are like centers.
Me.
Okay. When you are a center, let me think off the top. Steven Adams is a center.
Yes.
Porzingis is just tall.
Yeah.
But they both play the center position.
Yeah.
By today's standards. Okay. Anthony Davis is not what we called a ground athlete. He doesn't control the painted area. That's what a center does. A true center
on offense,
in every on offense and defense.
Because he does a pretty good control in the paint on defense, though. Even as
he blocks shots. He plays what, in my opinion, Mo, by my definition, he plays a vertical center position, a la Rudy Gobert.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy Gobert does not control the painted area.
Okay.
Draymond Green, for instance, controls the painted area.
Okay.
There's a difference here.
Yeah.
There's a difference. One blocks shots, and the other controls what's happening on the ground. Believe it or not, Mo, even though if you looked at Instagram, you would think everybody's just flying. Most of the time, you're on the ground. Give me the ground athlete over the vertical athlete. Why? Because it's all about controlling space. You want to control the painted area. Well, that's not Anthony Davis's game. Yes, can he block shots? Absolutely. Is he a threat back there? All that. Does he make unbelievable recovery? Guy gets beat, he blocks a shot. You go, oh, Anthony Davis would. Okay, sensational. However, give me the guy who's controlling the painted area. Just give me that guy. Why? Because if you control the painted area, Mo, I'm controlling the game. I'm controlling the game.
Mm-hmm.
We know that translates to a winning brand of basketball. We know that. So how do we know that? Because you and I are going to say it.
So let me ask you this, because you have Gobert as a vertical athlete not controlling the paint. How does that differ from Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, who played the 5 with Anthony Davis? Dwight
Howard is the rare athlete who could do both. At the height of his career, that's why he was Defensive Player of the Year multiple times. He could control the painted area. He was strong enough to do it. And by the way, he could control the vertical. So he was on the ground and in the air. Oh, is that why he was multiple Defensive Player of the Year?
But, I mean, Rudy Gobert is multiple Defensive Player of the Year as well, so we can't judge it on that.
But
do you
why?
Just out of curiosity, do you class Jaren Jackson Jr. as controlling the paint area, or just
Jaren Jackson Jr.? Jaren Jackson Jr. is fascinating, is because he is a vertical athlete, but you know what he does really well is he can switch.
Mm-hmm.
He can switch now.
But do you class him as a player that can control the painted area?
No, but because Steven Adams did that.
Yeah.
Bismack Biyombo now is doing that.
Just so the listeners have the
see. So
because we mentioned defensive players of the year.
Every player, Ben Wallace could do both.
Yep.
Shaq, when he wanted to, Shaq could do whatever he wanted to do, but Shaq always controlled the painted area. Centers, every center I ever played with, every center. Not every big guy, but every center I ever played with. They all were, if a guard was going to the basket and he started attacking the paint, they would take that personal. Because the bigs say, that's my area. That's my area. Bigs don't want to block shots. Bigs want to say, wait a minute. Tonight, little fella, don't come in here. And us guards, we knew the guys who were centers, and we knew the guys who were just trying to block your shot. There was a difference. Trust me, you could ask every guard to this day. We know the guys. You know the difference between Rudy Gobert and Charles Oakley.
Yep. I know Charles Oakley ain't getting put in no damn headlock.
Charles Oakley is not blocking any shots.
What about Draymond Green? Yeah.
Charles Oakley is not going to block a shot. Well, let me tell you something.
Though.
But no one's going to drive in that paint. That's the difference.
Enforcer.
Well, however you want to call it. Just give me the ground athlete and you take the vertical athlete, because the ground athlete is going to control everything in the painted area. I'm just using it as an example. Rudy Gobert is a defensive threat. He is a multiple defensive player who should have been Defensive Player of the Year. However, what is the one thing that we see teams adjust to when he gets to the playoffs? They take away his threat.
Yeah.
They take him out on the perimeter. They make him switch, and then they take away his threat. This is what we do. When I say we, this is what the NBA does. I'm going to attack you and force you and put you into an uncomfortable position. So when you see that, then you try to manipulate the game. If you find a player who can do both, a la a Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was able to provide something that, and JaVale McGee. So you say, well, wait a minute, JaVale's not, okay. JaVale McGee is a unbelievable vertical defensive player. He's unbelievable. So that allowed Anthony Davis to do what? Play from the weak side, which we already know he is as good as anybody on the strong side, which he's doing right now. He's showing you right now defensively. Imagine JaVale McGee, 7 feet, Anthony Davis, 7 feet on the weak side. Now, Mo, and then, by the way, the sub that's coming in for both of those guys is Dwight Howard. Oh, is that why they were one of the elite defensive teams? Okay. You got rid of Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, and you replaced it with a ground athlete at his height, Marc Gasol. But Marc Gasol, they forced Marc Gasol to do something that he couldn't do. Switch.
Another defensive player of the year as well.
Another defensive player of the year. However, in today's game, they're switching. They're forcing you to switch and do those things. That's not Marc Gasol's game. Okay? Mm-hmm. When the game went small with Anthony Davis as the 4, now Anthony Davis was playing small ball, which he does exceptionally well. Now, that I will argue with anyone. There isn't a better small ball 5 than Anthony Davis right now. I'll argue that with anybody. Anthony Davis is the best small ball 5 in the NBA.
If we play small ball, I'll take Giannis at the 5. You can have Anthony Davis.
Okay, you can have Giannis. You can take Giannis. Cool. I'll take Anthony Davis, and I'll play that game. Now, that game I'll play. I'm not saying Giannis is exceptional. However, Anthony Davis is an unbelievable small ball 5.
He's Draymond as well.
Smallest
ball 5s.
But Draymond, Anthony Davis is 7 feet. Draymond is 7 feet. It doesn't matter. 7 feet is 7 feet. 7 feet is 7 feet. Draymond, without question, in his time period, he clearly caused havoc for the other teams in the league. And without question, Draymond's ability to rebound the basketball and push it out as a 5 was, without question, hands down, their biggest advantage to why they won those 4 championships. Now teams have caught up to that, whether it's Anthony Davis or Giannis or whomever, to play small ball and play just as fast and be able to counter.
And he's not
which
the
was
same player.
Yes, which now Draymond now doesn't have the significant advantage that he once did, because teams didn't know how to address the issue. That was what they remember. They have it. They gave it a name. The death. Did they call it the death lineup or something? Yeah. Okay. That's why they called it that. Because they knew they had an advantage on the defensive end. That was their go-to move. Okay, you did your thing. We go to our death lineup, and you don't have a counter for it. that was their thing. Mm-hmm. So, I just think Anthony Davis is a unique player. However, I think the strength of a championship caliber run with this player is at the 4 more than the 5.
I hear it. Let us know, Lake fans. Let us know in the Discord. You can join. It's linked in the description, or let us know on social media at Hoop Genius on most platforms. Let us know your thoughts on where Anthony Davis should be playing. That's another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast. Make sure you subscribe, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. BJ, what are you celebrating for? Oh, the Pistons. No,
go to Pistons.
You guys can't see. BJ's wearing a Pistons jersey and he's celebrating. No, we ain't doing that. When they get a win, when they end this losing streak. Pistons. How about that, BJ? I'll wear my Pistons jersey when they end their losing streak.
Well, you better get ready. You better get ready.
I gotta hope it still fits. That's from Chauncey Billups, 2004. So make sure you guys lock in with us. We'll be back tomorrow with more from the NBA. And appreciate you guys tuning in. BJ, appreciate the wisdom as always. Stay locked in, and most importantly, get buckets.